A millionaire saw a homeless girl ask for leftover cake. His next move brought everyone to tears. The last rays of sunlight painted a soft golden hue on the glass windows of Sweet Haven. The scent of butter, almonds, and vanilla still lingered in the air, a sweet echo of a busy day. Ethan Carter, the owner, was carefully balancing the books. It had been a good day, like most days. He was a talented pastry chef who had devoted his youth to creating perfect cakes. Now he was the proud owner of an upscale bakery chain in Boston, a place where only the wealthy could afford his creations. The clock struck 6:30 p.m. Ethan was about to lock up when the doorbell chimed, the familiar sound of the shop door, yet somehow different this time. He looked up. A small girl stepped inside. She couldn't have been more than 9, thin, with tangled brown hair, wearing clothes too dirty and worn for the cold evening. Her shoes were nearly falling apart. Her eyes were filled with both fear and hope. Marla, Ethan's assistant, looked up from wiping the counter and frowned. "We're closing soon, kid. What do you need?" The girl swallowed hard, her voice trembling. I just wanted to ask if you had any cake that's too old to sell. Just a little piece, please. Today's my birthday." Silence filled the room. Ethan froze. In the warm light of the pastry case, the girl's dirt-smudged face glowed with a kind of innocent hope, fragile but bright. Marla frowned impatiently. "This is a bakery, not a shelter. Go home, kid. We don't give away food." The girl pressed her hands together, tears brimming. "Please, just a tiny piece. I promise I won't come back. I just wanted a real cake for once." Ethan felt something twist inside his chest. Those words echoed in his mind, drowning out every number on the ledger. With a sigh, Marla glanced at a few lingering customers watching the scene. She stomped to the back and returned with a broken piece of chocolate cake, one that had fallen during cleanup. She shoved it into the girl's hands. "Here, take it and go." The girl took it with trembling hands, bowing her head. "Thank you. Thank you so much." She clutched the cake like a treasure and hurried out the door. Ethan stood still, watching through the window. Outside, dusk had settled. The girl sat on the sidewalk, unwrapped the cake, and gazed at it with pure gratitude. She broke it neatly in half, then lifted one piece toward the sky. "Mom, look, I got a birthday cake. We can celebrate together?" Her voice was soft, shaky, but full of joy. Real, unfiltered joy. Ethan tightened his grip on the ledger. Something deep within him stirred, something human and painfully real. The girl ate slowly, savoring each crumb, as if afraid the cake would vanish too soon. Her eyes shone with happiness, the kind Ethan hadn't felt in years. He couldn't look away. When she finished, she sat quietly, gazing at the glowing horizon with a faint smile. Ethan whispered to himself, "God, what have I done with my life?" For the first time in years, he felt empty, surrounded by the luxury he once thought he wanted. And he knew that night the image of that little girl and her broken piece of cake would stay with him forever, like the last flicker of sunset that refused to fade away over Boston. On the way home, Boston's lights began to glow. Golden street lamps stretched along the cobblestone roads, their reflections glimmering on the windshield. Ethan drove in silence, his mind replaying the image of the little girl holding her small piece of cake up to the sky. When he parked in front of their quiet 2-story house in the suburbs, it was already past 8. A faint light flickered from the living room window. He stepped inside, hung up his coat, and saw Claire, his wife, sitting silently at the dining table. In front of her was a half-finished glass of wine. Her face looked tired, her eyes distant. "You didn't eat dinner?" Ethan asked softly. "I'm not hungry," Claire replied, without looking up. The house felt cold, lifeless, nothing like the warm sweetness of the bakery he had just left. Ethan sat down across from her, pausing before he spoke again. "You had a doctor's appointment today, didn't you?" Claire nodded faintly, then whispered, "Nothing new." The doctor said, "It's been 8 years, Ethan. 8 years, and there's no more hope." Her voice broke on the word hope. Ethan looked at her hands, slender, trembling slightly. He knew how much she had suffered through every failed attempt, every silent night of tears. "We can still—" he began, but Claire cut him off. "You're going to say adoption again, aren't you?" Ethan said nothing. Claire looked at him, eyes filled with pain. "I don't want someone else's child, Ethan. I want my own. I want to feel a heartbeat inside me. I want to carry our child, not borrow one." Ethan lowered his head. He understood her pain. But deep inside, something else tugged at him. The memory of the little girl at the bakery. A child with no one, holding a dusty piece of cake like treasure. Still smiling, still thankful. And here, his wife, breaking down because she couldn't become a mother, while a child out there had no mother at all. He looked at Claire. She was twisting her wedding ring, tears glistening in her eyes. "Maybe," Ethan said quietly, "there's a child out there who needs someone, just like us." Claire lifted her gaze, her voice trembling. "I'm tired, Ethan. Please, not tonight." She stood, set the glass down, and walked up the stairs. Her shadow disappeared into the dim light, leaving Ethan alone in the silence of the room. He leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling. The ticking clock sounded louder than usual. In his mind, the image of that little girl returned, her clear eyes, her trembling hands, her fragile voice saying, "Today's my birthday." Ethan closed his eyes. He didn't know why, but something told him that their encounter wasn't a coincidence. That night, Ethan could barely sleep. He lay on the bed, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. In his mind, there was only one image, that small girl with her pure eyes and trembling voice. "Today is my birthday." Claire was asleep, or maybe just pretending to be, so she wouldn't have to talk. Ethan turned slightly, gazing out the window. The Boston sky was dark, dotted with a few distant streetlights. A thought crept into his mind, so strong it made his heart feel heavy. He had to see that little girl again. The next morning, Ethan arrived at the bakery earlier than usual. Marla was wiping the counter and looked surprised to see him. "You're up early, boss." "Marla, that little girl from yesterday. Have you ever seen her before?" Marla raised an eyebrow. "That girl? Yeah, a few times. She wanders around here a lot. I think she lives somewhere near Beacon Park. I've even seen her picking cake crumbs from the trash once." Ethan froze. "Near Beacon Park?" "Yes, I've seen her sleeping on a bench near the monument a few times. Poor thing, probably has no one to take care of her." Ethan didn't say anything more. He just nodded and went back to his office, but his heart burned like fire. That afternoon, when the workday was done, Ethan took off his apron, put on his coat, and left the bakery. The sky was pale gray, clouds heavy with the promise of rain. He walked through the narrow streets, hands deep in his pockets, eyes scanning the surroundings as if searching for something. Beacon Park wasn't big. Old wooden benches, a few homeless people wrapped in thin blankets. Ethan walked along the path, stopping to ask each person, "Have you seen a little girl, brown hair, about 9 years old around here?" Most shook their heads. Some turned away without answering. Ethan began to feel hopeless. He was about to leave when an old homeless man with a white beard pointed toward a large oak tree in the corner of the park. "That girl? I've seen her sleeping there. She was there last night too, probably still is." Ethan turned quickly and hurried toward the tree. Under the thick branches, he saw a small figure curled up beneath a thin, torn blanket. Beside her lay an old backpack and a wrinkled photograph. Ethan stepped closer, quietly so as not to startle her. When he knelt down, he saw the picture clearly. A young woman with brown hair holding a little girl in her arms. Both were smiling brightly. The girl stirred, murmuring softly in her sleep, "Mom, why are you gone so long? I miss you." Ethan felt his throat tighten. He gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Little one." The girl woke with a start, clutching the photo tightly to her chest. "I didn't do anything wrong. I was just sleeping." "It's okay," Ethan said softly. "I won't hurt you. Do you remember me? I'm the man from the bakery yesterday." She looked at him, still wary. Ethan smiled faintly. "I just wanted to check on you. What's your name?" she whispered, still holding the picture close. "My name is Emma." Ethan sat down beside her, lowering himself to her level. "Where's your mother, Emma?" Her eyes shimmered. "Mom went to heaven a long time ago." "And your dad?" "He sold the house and left right after Mom went to heaven." Ethan said nothing. A cold wind blew through, lifting the edge of her thin blanket. "So, you're here alone?" "Yes. Sometimes I sleep in the park, sometimes on the street corner. I'm used to it." She hugged the picture to her chest and whispered, "Mom taught me not to be afraid. When I'm sad, she said to talk to her, even if she's not here anymore." Ethan felt his eyes sting. Looking at that small face, he saw a strength that few adults could ever possess. "Emma, if there were a warm place with a bed and food, would you like to go there?" Emma looked up, hesitating. "Why do you want to help me? Everyone wants something." Ethan smiled gently. "I just want to help. I think someone sent you to find me." Emma glanced at the photo in her hands and whispered, "Mom, should I go?" After a moment, she looked up and smiled weakly. Mom said yes. Ethan helped her gather her belongings, a few old clothes, a one-armed teddy bear, and some worn scraps of paper she called Mom's treasures. As they left the park, the first drops of rain began to fall. Ethan opened his umbrella to shield them both, and they walked side by side, a successful man and a homeless little girl. Yet in that moment, they looked like two lost souls who had finally found each other in the vast city. The evening rain fell softly as Ethan drove home. In the back seat, Emma clutched her old backpack tightly. Each time the car passed a street light, her small face appeared briefly in the golden glow, tired but peaceful. When the car stopped in front of the quiet suburban house, Emma looked up, wide-eyed. Is this your house?" "Yes," Ethan smiled. "But tonight, it's your house too." She nodded shyly, holding her mother's photo close to her chest. The front door opened, and Claire appeared, still in her robe, hair loosely tied, a look of surprise and tension on her face. "Ethan, you're late. And who's this?" Ethan gently guided Emma forward. "This is Emma." Claire frowned. "You brought a stranger into our house? What were you thinking?" Ethan kept his voice calm. "Claire, she has nowhere to go. She was sleeping in the park. I couldn't just leave her there in the rain." "But you can't just bring someone home like that," Claire interrupted, her voice trembling. "We don't know her. We don't know where she's from. If she's sick, if she—" Emma froze, eyes wide, hands gripping her worn shirt. I'm sorry. I can leave right now. I don't want to cause trouble." Her voice was so small it almost vanished under the sound of rain. Ethan turned, kneeling down to meet her gaze. "No, Emma. No one's sending you away." He looked back at Claire. "Just for tonight, please. Tomorrow I'll figure out what to do." Claire stood still, her hands clenched. Her eyes flicked between Ethan and the child, then paused on the photograph Emma was holding. She took a deep breath and finally nodded. "Fine, just for tonight." Ethan smiled faintly and placed a reassuring hand on Emma's shoulder. "See? It's okay now. Come in." Emma stepped inside, glancing around the warmly lit living room. It was the first real home she'd ever been in. "Sit down, Emma," Ethan said, pointing to a chair near the table. "Are you hungry?" The girl nodded softly. Ethan went into the kitchen, returning with a glass of warm milk and some bread. Emma held the cup with both hands, blowing gently before taking a sip. Warmth spread across her small face. Claire stood a few feet away, watching in silence. Inside her, emotions clashed: pity, fear, and something she couldn't name. Ethan looked at her, his tone gentle. "She just needs a bath and a bed for the night. I'll prepare the guest room." "No," Claire said quickly. "She can use the small guest room, but remember, just tonight." Ethan nodded. He led Emma upstairs and showed her the bathroom. Emma's eyes widened at the sight of the large white tub. "I've never seen a bathtub this big before." Ethan chuckled. "Then tonight's your first time." When Emma came out, clean and wearing freshly washed clothes Ethan had found, she looked like a different child. Her brown hair shiny under the light, her cheeks pink. Ethan smiled. "You look beautiful, Emma." She blushed, brushing her damp hair aside. "Mom used to say I look prettier when I'm clean." Downstairs, Claire sat alone, listening to the faint laughter coming from above. She stared at the empty glass in her hand, her chest tightening. Part of her felt relieved that the child was safe, but another part ached in ways she couldn't explain. She whispered to herself, barely audible, "You brought her home, Ethan, but who's going to bring me back from my emptiness?" The next morning, soft sunlight filtered through the thin curtains, filling the living room with a pale glow. The scent of coffee lingered faintly in the air. Ethan had already left early to open the bakery. Claire stood in the kitchen, wearing her robe, holding a cup of coffee she hadn't touched. She still couldn't quite process what had happened the night before. A strange child in her home, a husband bringing in a guest in the middle of a storm. It all felt unreal. Light footsteps sounded behind her. "Good morning, ma'am." Claire turned. It was Emma, her brown hair still damp, wearing the cotton dress Ethan had found for her. In the morning light, she looked entirely different, clean, bright, and well-behaved. "Good morning," Claire replied briefly. Emma stood still, holding a small photo with both hands. "Do you want to see a picture of my mom?" Claire blinked. "Your mom?" Emma nodded, stepping closer and holding out the photo. "This is my mom, Anna Green. I always keep it with me." Claire took the photo, ready to respond politely. But when her eyes met the image of the woman, time stopped. On the photo was a young woman, brown hair, a warm smile, bright, kind eyes. That smile. Those eyes. She knew them instantly. "Oh my God," Claire whispered, her hands trembling. "Anna." Emma looked up curiously. "You knew my mom?" Claire didn't answer. She stared at the photograph, her mind spinning. Memories flooded back, 2 teenage girls, laughing in a kitchen, baking together, sharing secrets, and later, harsh words, silence, and years of distance. She set the photo on the table, taking a shaky step back. "This can't be." "Ma'am?" Emma asked softly, worried. Claire pressed a hand to her forehead, breathing unevenly. "Your mom. She was my best friend." The girl's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yes, we were close, until we fought and lost touch. I didn't know. She was—" Her voice trailed off. She couldn't finish. "Mom's been gone for a while," Emma said quietly. 3 years, I think. She got sick. I don't remember much. Claire sank into a chair, her hands trembling as she held her head. Each word from the child felt like a knife slicing through the guilt she had buried deep. She remembered the last time Anna called. She hadn't picked up. At the time, she thought, there's nothing left to say. And now, this orphaned girl, this gentle, innocent child, was Anna's daughter. And Claire, the one who had turned away, was face to face with the consequence of her silence. Emma tugged lightly at her sleeve. "Are you okay, ma'am?" Claire looked up, tears sliding down her face. "I'm okay, Emma, just a little surprised." She tried to smile, but it came out crooked, fragile. Emma spoke softly. "Mom used to talk about her friend from school. She said her friend was smart, beautiful, and always laughing. She said that friend was someone she'd never forget." Claire's breath caught. She knew exactly who that friend was. When Emma left the room to play with her teddy bear, Claire sat alone, staring at the photo on the table. Something inside her both broke and awakened at the same time. She whispered, almost soundlessly, "Anna, I left you alone." That afternoon, it started raining again. Heavy drops struck the window pane, tapping a steady rhythm, like a reminder of something left unsaid. Ethan arrived home, his coat damp, a few raindrops clinging to his sleeves. As he stepped inside, he saw Claire sitting on the sofa, holding an old photograph. "Claire, what's wrong?" She didn't answer right away. Her eyes stayed fixed on the picture, her voice hoarse when she finally spoke. "Emma is Anna Green's daughter." Ethan frowned slightly. "Anna Green?" Claire nodded, tears beginning to fall. "She used to be my best friend." Ethan stood still, stunned. He hadn't expected the story to connect in such a strange way. "Your best friend?" "Yes, we went to high school together. We cooked together, baked together, dreamed of opening our own shop one day. But then everything changed." Claire paused, struggling to hold her emotions. "We argued over something foolish, a boy, some hurtful words, and then silence. I thought time would blur it all away, but it only made the emptiness grow." Ethan sat beside her, speaking gently. "You couldn't have known her daughter would one day walk into our lives." Claire gave a tearful smile. "Yes, fate is strange. She's gone now, and her daughter is here, in my home." Ethan looked at her quietly, then said slowly, "Maybe it's not just coincidence." Claire clutched the photo tighter. "I feel awful, Ethan, so awful I can barely breathe. She called me so many times. I never answered. I thought I was right, that I was the one who was hurt. But the truth is, I abandoned her when she needed me most." Ethan placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Claire, you can't change the past, but you can do something now." "Do what?" Claire asked, her voice breaking. "I can't bring her back. I can't fix the years I stayed silent." "No," Ethan said softly, "but you can care for Emma." Claire turned to him. "I'm not sure I can. Every time I look at her, I see Anna. I see my own mistakes." "Maybe that's why she's here," Ethan murmured. "Not to hurt you, but to help you forgive yourself." A long silence followed. The rain still fell, but more gently now. Claire lowered her head and whispered, "I'm scared, Ethan. I'm afraid I'll hurt her. I don't know how to be a mother." Ethan smiled tenderly. "No one is born knowing how to be a parent, but I think you already have the heart for it, and that's enough." Claire stayed silent for a long while. She looked again at the photograph. Anna's smiling face still radiated warmth. "Anna once taught me something," Claire said quietly, "that when you bake, the most important ingredient isn't flour or sugar, it's the love you put into it. Maybe I forgot that a long time ago." Ethan nodded. "Then start remembering. Begin from there." Claire lifted her gaze toward the staircase, where Emma sat quietly, holding her one-armed teddy bear, watching them. The little girl smiled shyly when their eyes met. Claire called softly, "Emma, come here, sweetheart." The girl approached slowly, eyes full of hesitation. "Yes. Did you call me?" Claire knelt down and said gently, "I have something to tell you. I knew your mother. We used to be close friends, and I'm so sorry I wasn't there for her when she needed me the most." Emma looked up, surprised. "Mom told me about you. She said you were a good friend. You just had a fight, that's all." Claire smiled through her tears. "She really said that? Your mom was such a kind soul." Emma stepped closer, taking her hand. "Mom said if we ever feel sorry for something, we should do something good to make it right." Claire squeezed the girl's hand, her voice trembling. "Your mother was as wise and kind as you are." Ethan watched them, his expression softening. Outside, the rain had stopped. Inside the little house, the air felt warmer, as if an invisible door had just opened. In the days that followed, Ethan and Claire's house began to change. Not loudly, not suddenly, just softly, like a melody playing in a room that had been silent for too long. In the mornings, the sound of Emma's little footsteps echoed on the wooden floor, replacing the quiet that Claire had grown used to for years. At first, Claire kept her distance. She spoke little, worked a lot, and pretended not to notice the girl's presence. But Emma always tried. Every morning, she would place a small flower from the front yard on the dining table. "I think flowers make people happier," she would say gently. Claire only nodded, but after Emma left the room, she found herself smiling, without realizing it. One afternoon, while Ethan was at work, Claire was folding laundry when Emma appeared. "Can I help, ma'am?" Claire hesitated, then nodded. "Sure. Fold like this, carefully. Try not to wrinkle them." Emma watched closely and followed her lead, clumsy but determined. The first few shirts came out uneven, and Claire almost corrected her, but stopped herself. "It's okay," she said softly. "You're doing great." Emma's face lit up. "Really?" Claire nodded. Something inside her began to melt. That night, the weather turned cold. While clearing the table, Claire noticed Emma sitting by the window, hugging her worn teddy bear, gazing outside. "Emma, why aren't you in bed?" Claire asked. "I'm talking to Mom," Emma whispered. Claire froze. "To your mom?" "Yes, I was telling her I helped you fold laundry today. I think she'd be proud." Claire's throat tightened. She walked over, sat beside the girl. "She would be very proud," she said softly. Emma looked up, eyes bright and honest. "Do you think she can hear me?" "Yes," Claire whispered. "People we love never go too far." A single tear slipped down her cheek, not from pain, but from something gentler, warmer. In the mornings that followed, Claire began cooking breakfast with Emma. At first it was simple: eggs, toast, orange juice. But slowly they began baking together. The scent of flour and butter filled the kitchen, bringing back memories of youth and of Anna. "Mom used to sing while she baked," Emma said, stirring the batter softly as she hummed a simple tune. Claire froze. "That song, I know it. She sang it to me the first time we burned a cake." Emma giggled. "You burned it?" "Totally black, but we still ate it, laughing until our stomachs hurt." They both laughed, the sound light and clear, echoing through the kitchen that had once only known silence. Another evening, when Ethan came home, he found them sitting on the living room floor. Between them were papers, scissors, and glue. "What are you two up to?" Ethan asked with a grin. Claire glanced up, slightly embarrassed. "We're making a photo frame for Anna." Emma held up a paper frame with careful handwriting. "For Mom, from Emma and Claire. Ethan stood there, feeling something tender rise inside him, part gratitude, part peace. Later that night, after Emma had fallen asleep, Claire stood at her doorway. The dim lamp cast a golden glow over the child's peaceful face. She stepped closer, brushed a strand of hair away, and whispered, "Good night, Anna's little girl." Then she paused, her hand lingering, because deep down she knew the words she'd spoken were only the beginning. In her heart, she was starting to see Emma as her own daughter. That morning, the sky was clear after days of rain. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, filling the small space with warmth. Emma sat at the table, swinging her legs, watching Claire prepare breakfast. "Miss Claire, can we bake a cake today?" she asked eagerly. Claire turned, surprised. "A cake?" "Yes, Mom loved making chocolate cake. I still remember the smell, but I forgot how to make it." Claire paused. The words chocolate cake stopped her cold. It was the very same cake she and Anna used to bake together in high school. She looked at Emma for a long moment. "All right then, today we'll try to make your mom's cake." They began gathering ingredients. Emma cheerfully placed flour, sugar, and eggs on the counter. Claire watched quietly, her heart swelling with a mix of nostalgia and tenderness. "What did your mom usually say when she cooked?" Claire asked softly. "She said, 'The best recipes are made with love.'" Claire smiled faintly. "I've heard that before." She poured milk, whisked eggs, and stirred the flour. Emma stood beside her, focused like a tiny chef. The air soon filled with the sweet, buttery scent of chocolate. "Miss Claire," Emma said, "Mom used to add something special too, but I can't remember what. Maybe vanilla or salt?" Emma shook her head. "No, she called it the secret." Claire stopped for a moment, thinking. Then she smiled. "Maybe a pinch of cinnamon." She sprinkled a little into the bowl. The warm aroma spread instantly. "That's it! That smell!" Emma exclaimed. "It's just like Mom's cake." Claire laughed. "Really?" "Yes, and Mom used to sing too, a little song." The girl began to hum softly. "When the day is long and dreams are small, bake with love and you'll have it all." Claire froze. It was the same tune Anna had once sung years ago. She set the spoon down, closing her eyes as tears welled up. Emma's delicate voice blended with the echo of the past, laughter, the sound of whisks clattering, the warmth of friendship that had once filled another kitchen. When the cake went into the oven, Claire sat beside Emma. They watched the small flame through the oven glass, as if watching a forgotten memory flicker back to life. "Do you think Mom can see us?" Emma asked. Claire's voice trembled. "Yes, and I think she's smiling right now." When the cake was done, the aroma filled the whole house. Emma clapped her hands, eyes shining. "We did it!" Claire removed it carefully, let it cool, then cut a small slice. They sat side by side and took the first bite together. It was soft, sweet, with a faint hint of cinnamon, exactly as Claire remembered. Emma closed her eyes, smiling. "It tastes just like Mom's." Claire looked at her, eyes glistening. "Maybe your mom baked it with us today." Emma smiled and gazed upward, as if speaking to someone unseen. "Thank you, Mom. I miss you." Claire rested her hand on the girl's shoulder, voice trembling. "Your mom is so proud of you, Emma, and so am I." Emma turned to her and whispered, "You're as kind as my mom." Claire hesitated, then smiled. "Thank you, sweetheart." She didn't know exactly when, but the pain and the memories had quietly softened, replaced by something gentle, almost peaceful. That evening, when Ethan came home, he found them in the kitchen, half the cake already gone. Emma laughed, telling him proudly, "It's Mom's cake, but Miss Claire's cake is just as good." Ethan chuckled. "Looks like I've got two great bakers here." Claire smiled at Emma, her expression warm and unguarded. "No," she said softly, "we just baked it with love." That night, laughter filled their small kitchen until it faded into quiet peace. Seasons changed, the scent of sugar and cinnamon marking the passing months. A year had passed. Everything seemed the same small street, the same Sweet Haven sign hanging above the door, the same gentle chime that rang whenever someone walked in. But inside the hearts of those within, everything had changed completely. In the bakery, Emma stood on a tall stool, carefully arranging little cakes onto a tray. She had grown a bit taller, her hair was longer, her eyes still bright and innocent as the day they first met. "Careful there, little chef," Ethan called from behind the coffee counter. "I know, Dad," Emma replied confidently. From behind the counter, Claire paused her work, watching her daughter for a long moment. The image of that little girl, small, cold and shivering in front of the bakery door a year ago, asking for a piece of leftover cake, flashed vividly in her mind. 1 year? A year of miracles, of tears, and countless warm embraces. Today was Emma's birthday. By late afternoon, her friends began to arrive. Laughter filled the shop. After everyone had eaten cake and shared stories, Ethan stood up and smiled at Claire. "I think it's time." Claire nodded. She went inside, came back with a small box, and handed it to Emma. "This is for you." Emma opened the box. Inside was a neatly folded piece of paper and a small silver bracelet engraved with the words, "Emma Claire Bennett." "Mom Claire? This is—" she stammered softly. Claire took her daughter's hand. "That's your new name, Emma. From now on, you're officially our daughter, mine and your dad's." Emma's eyes widened, tears shimmering. I really get to be your daughter?" "Yes," Ethan said warmly. "From today and forever." Emma burst into tears and threw her arms around Claire, then Ethan. "I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. Thank you for giving me a home." Claire held her tightly, tears streaming down her face. But they were tears of happiness. That night, after the guests had gone, only the soft golden light remained inside the bakery. Emma stood by the window, holding a small piece of cake in her hand, gazing up at the starry sky. "Mom Anna, I kept my promise. I have a family now, and I'm so happy." Emma lifted a small piece of cake toward the stars and whispered, "This one's for you, Mom." Claire came behind her, embracing her softly. "She's smiling now, Emma?" Ethan joined them, silent, their warmth blending under the starlight. Together, the three of them looked out at the night sky, where the stars shimmered like a silent reply. And in that moment, Claire knew. The circle of love had finally closed, but it was also the beginning of a new journey.